Hi, we're doing Camp No Camp video here for math, and we are going to sew parabolas as part of our math for Camp No Camp. And this is really a string pattern that is lots of fun, and it introduces you to a shape that you'll see in high school, but we're not going to do anything beyond to start to recognize what the pattern looks like. So I have started sewing with a marker, and I just want to show you so that you can kind of picture it, how you decide how to sew. So up here on my chart, you can see that I have made this pattern, and the way that I make the pattern is I choose a V shape. I choose two sides of this graph, and then I'm going to link them together with lines. And I choose the smallest, or the one closest to the middle, on one side, and the one furthest away from the middle on the other side. And then I draw a line between the two. And then I go to the next furthest and draw it to that. And then I go to the next furthest and draw it to that. And I keep on going. I didn't do a very good job matching up there. I keep on going all the way across until I have used up every point on both sides of the lines of the graph. And you can see it's starting to make a design here. So as you do that, those lines create a design. And so that is like, this is sort of what you're going for, what your end product is going to look like. And you received in the mail that got dropped off at your house, you received 2 pieces of cardstock, and the cardstock has a dot pattern on it. So we're going to start with the simpler dot pattern, the one that just looks like an X. And we're going to follow, you know how I like my steps. So we're going to follow some steps. So step number 1 is that you're going to take your string, and everybody just got the one color, but if you want to, you can switch out for any other colors that you might have at home. And you're going to pull your string out. I like to pull it out to the end of my arm. So you can see I'm holding it in my hand, and I just pull it about to my chin, from my fingers to my chin. It's not magical. You're going to have to you're going to have to cut more. It's not going to be finished in one or anything like that. So cut a piece of string as long as your arm. Thread the needle with the string. So if you have trouble threading your needle, then ask for help. But the needles have a pretty wide eye, so they're not as hard as some needles, but it still can be a tricky thing. So the thread has to go through the needle, and then some of you have learned to sew and you automatically try to even out and tie a knot. Don't do that. We want a tail. What happens is if you even it out and tie a knot, it gets too thick and it doesn't make a good picture. The pattern gets all lumpy. So you want the one string to hang down. There's a long string that hangs down and a short string that hangs down. And the long string, you're going to tie a knot in the long string. And just to get that knot going, I like to take the string and put it around my finger and then just tuck it in so that it makes a knot. And then I like to capture it and then twist it around and do a second one just to make my knot big. But it will work no matter what you do. Okay? So now you have string and you have a knot, and you're going to set that aside. So we've taken care of that. And now we are going to find our push pin, and you already found your needle because it was taped to your cardstock and you threaded your needle, so you must have, or at least you will and you'll find it there. And I'm going to put this up on the wall, but you need to use the push pin to poke holes in the paper. If you don't poke the holes in the paper, if you try to do it with your needle, it rips the paper. So it's super important to poke the holes with the push pin, just like this little guy right here. And I like to put a dish towel or two underneath it so that I don't get stabbed when I'm poking. And here you can see that I have just gone along, and everywhere where there is a black dot, I poke a hole. And I keep poking and poking until every dot has a hole poked. Now be very careful. Don't poke a dot hole for the center. That center one shouldn't be there, and if you accidentally do, it's not that big a deal. But it gets confusing because you try to match up your lines that you're going to sew instead of draw with a marker, and it creates an extra line. So if you accidentally do it, put a piece of tape over it so you don't sew with it. That's fine. So let's say that you have poked all your holes, and here's what it looks like on the side that has the black dots that are guides for you. And here's what it looks like without the dots. So this side is going to be the front of your paper. And in order to make it the front of your paper, it means that when you choose your V and start to sew, so I'm going to sew these two lines together. I need to make sure that my picture is face up, and then I come in from the bottom, and that way my knot is going to end up on the back side of the page, not showing. All right, and then I came in on the one closest to the middle, so that means I'm going to go down on the hole farthest from the middle on the other side. And now a way to conserve string is, instead of making the same exact design on the back side, if you just go down through the next hole down on the back side, and then you come out on the next hole over, and you go to the next hole over, and then on the back side you only go to the neighbor, and then you come back to the next hole down, and you pull it there, and then as I sew my little tail, it sort of starts to feel longer, so I just pull it out, because if you forget about it, it can get caught in there, and then it doubles your string up for you, and then you get your string gets used up really fast, and you end up with that sort of wadded up problem. Okay, so I go back through at the neighbor, and then I come out and I go across, and I just keep on sewing like this, neighbor and across, until I'm done. Or I run out of thread. And if I run out of thread, what I can do, if the knot thing is too hard, the other thing you can do, since the back side of your paper is not going to be visible, you can just use tape and tape it down instead of tying a knot. And most certainly, when you get to a point where your string is used up, you just tape the rest of it down on the back. And then the back has tape instead of knots, which makes it sit flatter. And you don't have to worry about tying knots, because that part is complicated. And then the front side looks beautiful. So this is what you were working on for the next couple of days. I want to show you something else. Sometimes, even though it's a pretty simple process, you accidentally go in the wrong hole. And guess what? That means that you need to take it out. But look it, if you do it, like gently, you can pull it out. I've pulled this string out 3 times now, because I can never make a video the first time. I have to go back and fix it 3 or 4 times, right? So you can just pull it out and start over again. And I know that people think, oh no, I don't want to start all the way over again, but It's really not that hard. I've seen kids take an entire side out and redo it in about 5 to 7 minutes. So be patient with yourself. If you see a design flaw, take it out, fix it, and have fun making parabolas. I'll see you later.